Hey everybody, it's Goose, and I'm here to tell you more about the D&D session that I'm running. I'm gonna try to keep it kind of short today because I don't have a lot of time, but this was a big session. A lot of stuff happened. So, last time the party Pirates of the Caribbean out of Anathem, the city that they were all arrested in, and had their first encounter with the cult of Tiamat. So they escaped the city and were ambushed on the road at night. But after all of that, they finally made it to Yardstick's Villa's house. And Yardstick's two masters, Zik and Leah, welcomed the party with pretty open arms. The party kind of let it slip that they got in some pretty big trouble, but they weren't too bothered by that. They pretty much just muttered amongst themselves about, oh, we gotta pay this off, we gotta smooth this over, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of influence, so they were mainly focused on getting rid of the problem. So these kind people, Yardstick's masters, allow the party to take a rest, to spend the night in their guest rooms at their big villa. And, the party spends the evening in various ways. I just had them level up, so they're level 3. So, Nephis sourced some incense in the hopes of eventually summoning something. And Ryuu, after finding a little snake last time, decided that she wanted to make a snake army, so she poked around the villa a little bit and found another snake. I think it was a bull snake, pretty chunky lad, and I allowed her player to give her speak with animals as flavor. So she managed to convince the snake that she was her friend and got it some food and convinced it to come with her. And this also has to do with why Nephis was getting incense. Sorry. A couple of my players have asked, hey, I know it's not in my spell list, but can I learn this spell? Can I learn that spell? And so far, I've said yes, I've allowed it. I figure since the spells that they want are flavor, like speak with animals or summon steed, they're just flavor. They're not combat spells. They're not asking for fireball, So the way I'm gonna handle it is if a player wants a spell that's mostly flavor, I'm gonna allow them to learn it. Anyway, the party sits down for a rest along with the 2 NPCs that accompanied them after their prison break. Banner, the old mute tabaximan, who was the original owner of the dragon box that the cult was after, and then also Fen, the half-elf. So the party beds down and has their long rest, but they're awoken in the morning by a scream. They find that Fen and Banner are gone. That room is trashed. And in the front yard, Leah has discovered that the villa's butler, Wigstill, is dead. 2 crossbow bolts in his back, and he was carrying the party's wanted posters. And so obviously, the first assumption is, alright, which one of you did this to try to hide? You did an awful job. But between the party talking and the Zik and Leah's son, Eirik, the 2 of them are convinced that maybe it wasn't the party, and that the 2 NPCs' disappearance probably had something to do with the whole thing. And since Yardstick knows the area because of his adventures with Eirik, the couple's son, he knows that, oh, there's this old ruins nearby, and it's possible that the people who did this are hiding out there. So the party takes some horses and pretty much just head out into the woods, grassy woods, into the woods, and find this old crumbling ruin. And so, you know, there's crumbling pillars, there's an old crumbled statue, and after a little bit of investigation, they realize that the statue can move back. And through some finagling, they take one of the necklaces, the Cult of Tiamat necklaces of her symbol, and find that press it under the broken statue's stomach, and the big stone statue rattles back, revealing a staircase. So they make their way down and enter this kind of half stonework, half carved out of rock, this basement, basically, that it seems like it must be the cultists hiding out under. So they go in and they find the cultists that were hiding out, and they, you know, have this big fight. And this was the first time I'd given them a really hard fight, like a boss fight, instead of like, oh, a bunch of guards with CR 1/8 or like cultists CR 1/4. This was an actual like knockdown, drag out brawl with like a spellcaster and a guy who hit really, really hard. So in the process, Viren, the cleric, actually takes enough hit point damage to go down. And of course, he is a changeling, and apparently that the disguise falls when a changeling gets knocked out. So after this fight, you know, they bring it back, and it's like, we don't have time to unpack all that. We'll circle back to this. Like, this is important, but we don't have time, because they really want to find those NPCs. And I feel like it bears saying that after the party and the NPCs were attacked by cultists last time and found out that the cultists were after the box, this old man, Banner, the Tabaxi, you know, it was his duty to guard this dragon box. And after these big fights, one of which knocked him out, he realized that, oh, maybe I should find someone new to guard this box. And since Nephis was really, really interested in trying to open it, he decides to give it to Nephis. And I do this like, oh, he snuck it into your bag, and it came with this note. And so I wrote a kind of really heartfelt note, like, oh, it needs someone new to guard it. If anyone can do it, I know it's you. Think of me when you open it, all right? And you know, I was really proud of it. So then, of course, the party finds Fen and Banner locked in a cell, and I killed Banner. He's dead. And my partner, who plays Nephis, is real mad at me still. She is not happy with me. It's like, you've used your powers for evil, and like, I'm kind of really proud of how I pulled it off. I also feel kind of guilty because she's real upset. Anyway, they find Fen and Banner, and, you know, loot the treasure room. And as they come out of Fen and Banner's cell, they find one more cultist trying to sneak back past them with a broken sending stone in her hand. And they catch her pretty handily, and they're like, what's going on here? What's the plan? And she pretty much just stonewalls them, like even through Zone of Truth, she's like, I don't need to know what happens next. I know what happens next. Everything's going according to plan, basically. And Nephis, who is really, really distraught because I killed his father figure. The cult killed his father figure, but like, you know, I did that. So after they asked the cultist why Banner died, and the cultist said, hey, it wasn't intentional, he just wouldn't tell us where the box was, Nephis burns a 2nd level spell slot to just cast Wish Bolt, just right between the eyes, and just smokes this woman. Like, oh boy, that's gonna cause some moral damage somewhere along the line. But anyway, after this they make their way out and then emerge to the surface to find that they are surrounded by cultists. And one of them steps forward brandishing a long sword, and it turns out to be Frank, the guard from the first session that they pretty much showed them around and pretty much made a fool of him. He's back. And so I ended the session there for drama. I haven't quite figured out what I'm gonna do next, and I don't really have time to kind of talk it out and make it happen, but there's a lot of stuff going on here that I'm going to have to draw back on. The whole, oh, Viren's a changeling, oh, Banner's dead and Nephis is not dealing with it well. Like, there's gonna be some stuff further on down the line, but I've yet to quite figure out how to utilize it, so I'll have to spend some time thinking about that. And, you know, in the meantime, happy adventuring.